Hello everyone and welcome back to Call Sign Charlie Models for part 5 of the Academy 132nd F-16I Sufa, and in this part we'll be covering all the decaling and weathering of this kit. As you can see, I already got some of the decaling done, and that's because this is actually take 2 to the intro to this part of the build. I started it and I got started on decaling and I had it going running, and then I noticed you couldn't see anything that I was doing on camera because of the angle of the jet and everything and the location of the decals. And then also it took me forever to find each decal. I had been working on this for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and I just finished one side. So, and I know like my decaling process is pretty efficient, so just finding where the decals were on this sheet did take me a very long time, and that's because there's no rhyme or reason to the numbering of the decals and the location. They are scattered all over the place. So got this side done. Up next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit it up with some micro set so the decals can really set into the model. And then after that's done and dry, I'm going to come back, I'm going to flip it over, I'm going to do the other side, and when that side's done I can start working on the top side decals, and that one I can have the camera running for because you will be able to see everything that is going on in that. So and there's a good amount of decals that go on the top side and the bottom side as well. Especially on the bottom side, there are a lot of stencils that go on. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to hit this up with some Solvaset to really get those decals to form into the model, and then I'll be back after the other side is done, and then we can start working on the decals on the top side. So I'll be back in 1 second. Alright, so the side decals are all done on here. I am going to definitely have some cleanup to do along in here and on this side as well, because there is a little bit of bubbling on it, and a little bit of, I can't tell if that's dirt or what, but yeah, we're just going to have to take care of some of that silvering that's in there. All the other decals are looking okay. Again, I'm going to have to, got a little bit of bubbling up on this decal right here, but now I'm doing decaling on an area that you guys can see what I'm doing, so we're actually going to run with it on this. So I have my decal instructions ready, and again what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start clockwise and work my way all the way around and go off by that. I know for this first decal I'm not going to need it because I already have the canopy painted for that part, so we don't have to worry about that part. But so up next we have 5R and then possibly 75. We'll have to see what that decal is for. So let's start looking for it. Alright, so this 5R and 5L is backwards. I guess if you're looking at it head on, it's 5R, but other than that, it's actually supposed to be 5L for that. So we're going to go ahead and knock that one out for this side while I have it in front of me and it's fresh on my mind. Alright, so for the 75 decal, we know it's not going to be going on it because it's supposed to go under this vent right here, and it's this decal right here. So that decal will not be getting used. Alright, so that does it for the top side decals, getting all those done, and then I got the Solva set from Microsol put on, so I'm going to let that set and dry probably overnight. I'm going to flip it over tomorrow and then do the underside, which we have a lot of decals to go on the underside for that, so that's going to be another full day worth of decaling. And then after that, we got the bombs and fuel tanks and missiles to do, and some sensors, and then that's it for decaling. So I'm gonna let this decal set dry, and then we'll get right back into it on the underside of this. So I'll be right back in a second. Alright, and it's time to start doing the decals for the underside. And as you see, we have a lot of decals to do on this underside of the Sufa. So we're going to get right into it. I'm going to start off on the upper left hand corner right here with this stripe right here, and then we're just going to work our way all the way around back to over here. Actually, I'm going to start at this part, number 44, and then work all the way around back to where we're ending up with number 44 again on the other air brake. So moving right along. Alright, so the underside decals are all done. I know when it's all zoomed out you can't see anything, but when it was zoomed in you could see everything that was taking place. One sad thing about these decals, or at least on 4 of them, is that when the pylons are attached, you will not be able to see them, as the decal I was just repositioning right there had gone a little crooked. But again, those 4 decals right there and right there, you will not be able to see because the pylon is going to be sitting directly on top of it. But other than that, the decals went down absolutely great with no issues on that. Up next, I'm going to be hitting it with some microsaw to really get the decals to settle down into it. Then after that's done, I'll come back and with all of the decals on here, I'm going to go over it with a hobby knife, get any bubbles that might have rised up when the decal set was setting the initial time, and hit that with the hobby knife, also in the panel lines and rivets as well, so that way when I hit it again with the microset, the decals will really fall into those areas and really show the detail on that. But up next after that, we also have the fuel tanks and all the ordnance to do as well, so I'm going to go ahead and get that stuff done before I go through with the other layer of microsaw, because I'm going to have to do that the same thing, the second layer of microsaw to that as well. So I'm going to get off of here, just apply the microsaw, rather not generously, but just over all the decals that I just applied, then let that set, and then tomorrow I'll be back and I will be getting all the ordnance and everything done. And after that decaling is done, then I'll put another clear coat over it just to protect the decals that I put on. Then I'll start panel lining and doing the weathering with that. So I'll see you in just a second when we start doing the decals for the ordnance. Alright, and we're back, and we got all the decals done for everything on the Sufa, including all the missiles, the Python missiles right in here, all done. The fuel tanks, also all done right in here. As you can see, getting all those on. And then your bombs, your pylons, the AMRAAMs right in here, all done. So up next, what we're going to do is we're doing a final prep for clear coat to go protect it. So we're probably going to do a couple more layers of solvasetting right here. As you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little bit of silvering and some bubbling on these decals right in here and here. So what I'm going to also do is I'm going to go through with these panel lines with a very sharp knife, and I'm going to go along with those panel lines and help those decals fall into the panel lines on there. Then also get rid of some of the bubbles that are in there as well. And the same thing with these decals back here and up in here. And then after that's all done, I'm going to go through. I have a pin vise and then I have a sewing needle in this piece right here. And I'm going to go through on the decals and I'm going to poke a hole in each of the rivets, so that way also the wash, after the microsaw is on and clear coat is on, when I go in to apply the wash and everything, the wash will actually get into these rivets and panel lines as well, because if I didn't, the wash would get wiped right off when I do it. So definitely gonna do it like this and get all this done, so that way all the panel lines, all the rivets show up when I put on my Flory Models wash. So I'm going to go through and do all of that on the aircraft and the missiles and the fuel tanks and all the sensors and everything that I have decaled. Then after that, I'll show you how everything's looking when it's all after the final couple sets of microsaw, and I'm thinking that microsaw should do the job. I'm hoping I don't have to go to my nuclear option of Walthers, but we will wait and see. Alright, so I'll be back in 1 second once everything is done, and then we'll show that off, and that's probably going to be the end for this video, just with the decaling once I have the clear coat on and everything, and then I'll start doing the weathering in the next part, because this part with the figuring out how to do time lapse, I know this video is going to be a little bit longer than usual, because I'm actually going to have me working on the model in the videos. Alright, so I will be back in 1 second once all of this is done. Alright, and we're back, and we got all the decals, the final clear coat on, and drying right now. So this is going to be the end of part 5. So the decals all went down really nice, no issues with any of those. And then just got a clear coat on, and I put the clear coat on everything. So now when it dries, I can start doing the Flory model wash, which will go over all the panel lines, and then start a little bit of weathering. I'm not going to go too crazy on the weathering on this guy, but again, really nice going around. No issues with any of those. Had a little bit of a silvering issue on this one, but was able to get that taken care of on those. And then on the underside right here, again, all coming in very nicely. So again, I'm gonna get my Flory models washed. I got a little bit of wash from Flory, but not enough to do everything on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for that. I ordered another one. I'm going to wait for it to come in, and then after that we can start part 6, which is the weathering of this, and maybe even the final assembly. I'm not sure if I'm going to do another part for the final assembly, but all in all, it's coming together very nice. The light is at the end of the tunnel for this build. So that way we can start moving on with the Catalina. So I hope you enjoyed this portion of the build. Stay tuned for part 6, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell notification for notifications of future content being uploaded. But until next time, have a great day, stay frosty, and happy modeling.